that were meant to be on this meeting that they should kindly join. We are waiting for them. We are ready to proceed. Okay, Ade, we favor. Can you hear me now? The last thing I said was that we should invite our friends and colleagues that we believe are meant to be on this call and are not here now. We should try and invite them so that they can benefit from this last insightful and awesome session.
Tunde, please begin.
Okay, can everybody hear me?
Yes, we can.
I can hear you.
Hello, can everybody hear me?
Yes, we can. Please begin.
Okay. Good evening, everybody, once again. I don't know if my camera is on your end. I don't know if you can see my faces because I actually want us to see my face.
I can't see your face.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining today's meeting. Pending when our moderator joins us, I shall be the one I shall be directing the meeting for now. Thank you. So yeah, welcome everyone once again. Welcome to the Vanguard Africa Undergraduate Congress. We've been at it for the past 3 weeks, and this week again, we'll be having our final session with our renowned Temi Baju in Popola, popularly known by every one of you here. So yeah, she's going to be handling the session and facilitating the topic on building effective public speaking. So please enjoy the ride with us as we'll be inviting our beloved Temi. Simply because of time, we'll be skipping certain parts of our segment. We hope you understand because she's been here with us today for the sake of the love she has for us. She has very demanding engagement at the moment, and we are so grateful for that. Thank you so much, Temi, for being with us. It's 4 now already. We don't want to keep you waiting for that. We'll go on other things as time goes on. Thank you so much. So, Temi, you'll be having the um, floor now to probably say one or two things. Then we go on to our questions for you for the day. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me. Good evening, everybody. Trust you're doing well. Thank you so much for inviting me, Adibola. Such persistence. I mean, it's so difficult to say no with someone like Adibola. So thank you so much for your persistence. Thank you so much for inviting me. It's such a privilege to be here to chat with us. I hear that the topic is public speaking, and I'm told that it's going to be a Q&A session. So I think we should just dive straight into the Q&A session. But first of all, thank you for inviting me.
Yes, please. It's a question and answer segment. I will just touch you on say one or two things already from your mind. So yeah, delving directly into our questions for today. We want to ask you, these are part of the questions we gathered from a lot of the attendees who wanted to hear you speak so beautifully to express certain things they have in mind. So I wanted to ask you that what are some practical strategies or exercises that can help individuals overcome nervousness and build confidence when delivering public speeches? So,
Okay, some things that can make us less nervous when we deliver speeches. First thing to note is that everyone who is on this call and is asking, am I the only one? Are you the only one that has stage fright sometimes or that gets nervous? No, you're not. Best of speakers get nervous. So first of all, know that it's a club of humans. So when somebody says, oh, I feel stage fright, I'll say, oh, welcome to the club of humans, because feeling stage fright, feeling nervous, is actually normal. It's normal. It happens to the best of us. It happens to people who have been practicing for years and years and years. Sometimes we get nervous. Sometimes you're standing before a different audience and you get nervous. So it is normal. So I don't want you to feel that, oh, something is wrong with you because there's some strategies that I would mention, some practical tips that will help us to, become better speakers and to overcome nervousness. At the end of the day, even with what you are feeling, the audience doesn't have to know it. You can do such a great job. So now here's some tips I'll share with you. Some of them have to do with before you prepare. That's what tips. If you're noting it down, please note it down. Preparation is so important when you know what you're saying, because you have prepared. It is easier for you to be more confident when you've prepared. So every time you have a speech, every time you have an invitation to do something, maybe they say, come and host for us, come and speak, come and deliver a talk, make sure that you prepare, go through it. Okay, what's this thing about? Who's my audience? Why have they invited me? What's the topic I'm speaking about? So prepare. Now, another part of preparation actually involves rehearsing. Do that in front of the mirror. Do that. You are more confident when you've done it over and over and over again. So rehearse. That's so important. Another tip I'll share with you is something I find that a lot of people usually don't do, especially when they're very knowledgeable. That's organized script. It could be in form of bullet points, but just organize your thoughts in a way that you can easily flow. So remember, the first thing I said is prepare. Then I say you should rehearse. Then organize your thoughts in a way that you can easily flow. So you know that, okay, this is the introduction, this is my opening line, this is the body of my presentation, and this is my closing line. That helps you to be more confident. When you know what you're doing, you're more confident. You're less confident when you're like, what? I don't know what I'm going to say. I don't know what I'm going to do. All right. So I don't know if I'm Adibola earlier mentioned joining in from a car because I'm in another meeting, and I had mentioned that I would just step out. So, I'd like to have a very nice background and all that, but I'm currently in another meeting, and I mentioned that I'll just step out. So please bear with me. So back to some practical tips that we can use. Remember, I said prepare. It's very important. Organize your thoughts. Very important. Rehearse. And then when you get to a place, when you're speaking somewhere and you can get there early, please get there early. If you can interact with people, I recommend it. Interact with people. What happens to you when you interact with people is that you see that they're human beings like you. You see that they don't bite. You get to say, oh, hello, what's your name? What are you doing here? Before you even go on stage, you can ask them, what do you look forward to seeing at this conference? Those kind of questions. That comes from interaction. So even when you've interacted with someone before you went on stage, it's easy to look into the crowd and find some friendly faces and just smile at them, because you know that, oh, I know this person. I'm familiar with this person because I've had a conversation with them. I can see that the audience don't bite. So that could help. So interact with them when you get an opportunity. I know there are exceptional circumstances where you cannot interact because perhaps you're just coming in straight from the airport for your speaking engagement and there are other speakers and the session is already going on. There are those exceptional cases where, for example, you are here to be interviewed and it's a panel and you couldn't interact with the panel ahead of time. Maybe you didn't even know who was going to be sitting on the other side of the table. So it's okay when there are those exceptional circumstances, but normally endeavor to get to where you're speaking at early and interact with people. So these are just some pre-steps that will make it much easier for you. And when you see the audience as human beings, it will just be easy to talk to them. You know that they don't bite, they're not going to do anything to me. They are rooting for me, they want me to share something with them. And then relax. That's so important. Relax. Sometimes we have speaking engagements and we're tired. We're very tired, and it affects the quality of our speaking engagement. It affects our body. It could affect our soul. Your mind is just not in the right frame, and there's things like that. So what I encourage people to do is relax. If you have a speaking engagement, for example, early in the morning, and you've taken time to prepare, why not just have a good night rest the night before? I mean, you've been preparing, you've been reading, you've been doing all of those things already. Go and sleep. Wake up early and start your preparation or start your rehearsals again. So don't say, oh, I've been preparing, but it's not enough, because it's never really enough. I'm just going to still do an all night again on this. Way you can get some rest, relax your body, relax your mind. Relax your mind. One way to relax your mind could be through affirmation, saying to yourself, I'm confident. Some people say they meditate and they remind themselves of who they are. That's what I do. I remind myself of who I am and say, you've got this. Those things help. What will for confessions, they help to relax. Speaking, endeavor to get something maybe to eat. For example, if you're speaking in the morning, you can just maybe take a cup of tea and a few slices of bread. Those little simple tips are very practical tips that would help you, so that if, for example, your presentation is delayed or you are nervous already, you're not just nervous. It's different when you're nervous. Then when you're nervous and hungry, that's such a bad combination. So you are shaking from the nerves, you are shaking from the hunger, and you're just not in a good position. So take care of your body, relax your body. I said all that to say relax your body, relax your soul ahead of your presentation. And when you get on stage and it seems like, oh, what's happening? I am saying too many words. It's okay to pause. It's okay to pause. You don't have to be talking all through. Sometimes we feel a pressure when we're on stage to be talking. Just continue talking. I don't know what they're thinking. I don't know what I think. I don't know. It's like, all of those things. The nerves are getting to you. It's okay to pause for a few seconds and think through your words. It's okay to take it slowly. It's okay. So understand that you're talking to humans. Do as much as you can to prepare ahead of time. And if you make mistakes, understand that every mistake could be a design at the end of the day. And you could just go ahead with your presentation. If you need to apologize for your mistake, do that. If you think that in that circumstance, it's okay to just move on and correct your wrongs. Those are some tips that I will share with you, to overcome stage fright.
Okay. Thank you so much. To begin with, Debola did mention to us that you had some clashing engagement and you are unable to, be in your usual style. So we understand, and we're even more grateful for the sacrifice. Thank you so much for being here. We do not take it for granted. Apologies for any glitch whatsoever. You've actually shared quite some amazing tips. To you, it sounds like they're practical, but that's by reason of your experience. These are thoughts that when you're panicking and when you're nervous, you don't even think about. You're just all nervous and all of that. But thank you so much. Would note them: preparation, engaging with the audience, several things. So for the sake of time, I don't want to do the brief recap now, so we'll just flow along. All right. So secondly, somebody is asking, could you please share some key techniques or tips for captivating an audience and keeping them engaged throughout a public speaking presentation? How do you captivate them? How do you keep them in? How do you not lose your audience? Especially when you have this long conversation with, this long conversation kind of presentations. Yeah.
Okay. First of all, I always say to people that there's some general tips like icebreakers that would help you, but that comes first of all for your audience. I'm unable to find the specific tips that would work for them. I want to and I'm trying to engage with an audience that is made up of gens. An informal conference is going to be different. It's a different ballgame. So understanding will help you what practical icebreakers to introduce. If you're in a formal engagement, already. There are certain things you are, even if you are tired, you are bored, there are certain icebreakers that you cannot introduce because they do not suit that occasion. So you've been speaking for long, but it doesn't mean that it's to introduce certain things. So I'm saying all this to get you to understand that it's first of all important for you to know, who am I talking to? When I know who I'm talking to, I know what to use as an icebreaker to get them in a conversation or to get them to stir up conversations. Well, let me share some general tips. But the first thing is understand your audience. Now, having understood your audience, understand the icebreakers. There are certain icebreakers that can work well, but then depending on who your audience is, and the icebreakers could be games. They could be very simple things like asking your audience, you've been talking for so long. You can tell your audience, you just take a quick break, of course, with the permission of the organizers, a quick break to stand, because if people have been sitting for long, it's not even healthy. You may want to tell them to take a break to stand. You may tell them to take a break to network. You can bring in games. There's so many interesting games that will work well with different kinds of audience. So maybe there's a game where you ask them questions like a quiz. There's a game where you ask them to come out and do certain things. There's so many games. And then, but beyond the icebreakers and the games, and remember I said foundationally, understand who your audience is. Beyond that, it's also important for you to know, not just knowing who your audience is now, and not just knowing icebreakers, and not just knowing games, but know what that event is really about. So I know that this is my audience, but I know that this is the focus of the event. And so because I know the focus of the event, I'm able to bring around everything I'm doing to be focused on. An example, there was once I was doing something, hosting an event, and I observed that the audience will get some traction on social media. So the social media team was thinking, how can we get more people to push our content? How can we get more people to do this? And this is an audience of young people, energetic people. So I took permission from the organizers and said, you know what, we're going to do a selfie competition now. And do it. So it was a break. Let's take a break to do selfies. And then we stood up and did a selfie break, and we just had a selfie. Just take a picture with your name, ask for their names, and share it on social media. What I did with that little idea is that I helped to achieve a goal, which was to get our conversations going on social media. And I also got, but at the end of that game, everybody was already refreshed. They were good to go again. They stood up, they had walked around, they had networked, they were happy again. But that wouldn't work in all cases. So that leads me to the next point. Learn to read the room. You go in prepared, you go in with icebreakers that are relevant to the audience. Still need to go in, observe and read the room, watch around, look around. You just need to encourage the audience. You need to encourage anything you say right now. They don't want to play games, they don't want to listen to stories, they want to eat. They've been here since morning and it's evening and they're tired. They need a break. So read the room. Apart from this, I'd say that your tone, your speech, your stories, your presentation style, your delivery style is able to engage the audience. That's why you listen to two people tell the same story and you will be interested in another person's story than you are in one person's story. Why? Because of that person's ability to tell that story in a unique way. The art of storytelling, the way they would share it, their tone, the way they would just make everything so interesting. So that's also something that I think we need to add. So these are some tips that I believe will help you.
All right. Thank you so much. Introduce icebreakers, take a break, and more importantly, to read the room, because sometimes you are prepared, but you just have to be flexible. Thank you so much for the apt responses. Okay, so the next question is this. You've partly answered it in the first one, but let's hope that you're able to address the challenges here. So the question is, in your experience, what are the most common challenges people face when trying to improve their public speaking skills? And how can they effectively address these challenges? I'm saying you've probably answered it because you talked on nervousness, and while responding, you mentioned the other things in addition to being nervous. So what are the most common challenges people face
Yeah.
when trying to improve their public
So-
speaking skills, and how can they effectively address these challenges?
Okay, so I know that sometimes people are nervous. Sometimes people ask questions about, and they feel very intimidated when they are looking to the audience, especially if, for example, the audience is not doesn't look like a friendly audience. They say, "Oh, should I look to their face? What should I do? Should I look on top of their heads? What should I do about that?" And my response would be that ideally, eye contact is a part of public speaking. However, sometimes when people are just starting out, I think it's okay for them to look away. If you feel that, I'm in a stage where I'm not, if I look at somebody, I will just melt, or I will something, if you have that in that place, I understand why you may not want to maintain eye contact, but don't stay there. So it's like you're starting from somewhere, but you're growing, knowing that I need to do better, knowing that I need to do better in my public speaking journey. So that's one challenge I know that people have. Generally, a challenge that I think that people have, but from speaking to a lot, but have not done so, just in that place. One challenge I think that they then you suddenly say that, I want to improve my public speaking, and you want to get it done in 1 week. You're putting pressure on yourself. You are just hitting yourself. I'm still not doing well on stage. I'm still scared. I'm still shaking. And you know what? I'm just going to give up. I'm not going to be in this journey. And some of us did further mathematics, right? When you were studying mathematics, for those of us who, I know that people that love mathematics, or think of a subject that you didn't really like. For me, maths is my subject. So I remember studying maths, and first week I didn't understand. Was I going to just go back and say, I'm done with school? You know what? I don't know. Mathematics is not for me. No, because maths is important. If you had an option and they say you don't need maths for your course of study, maybe you do that. But if you knew that you needed it, you would go through the process of learning it. People give up too soon. People give up too soon. They say, I spoke and I went to, I didn't speak well and I'm no longer speaking. Public speaking is a journey. We are learning. And I usually tell people my story. I didn't start speaking. I didn't just start speaking, or I wasn't always speaking, to put it well. I wasn't always speaking. And yeah, as a child, I was a bubbly child that spoke often, but there was a point where I was now very frightened. I couldn't speak in public. I couldn't speak in the crowd. And, I shared this on other platforms before. And what did I do? At that point, I knew that this is something I need. This is something I want. So I decided to get better at it by practice, constantly doing it. This was so important to me. I prayed about it. I said, Lord, you've got to help me with this thing. Please help me with it. And I started to practice. So there were times when it didn't go well. I said, okay, this is what I can learn from this. I'll do it better the next time. Started to practice with little platforms. Sometimes people just say, I want to speak in public. You know what, let me go and start with 500 people, and doesn't go well. They just feel discouraged and say, some of us are not born to be speakers. We can all be speakers, because you might need it for as an entrepreneur, as a business person, you might need it as a professional. In some way you can impact, you can inspire, you can earn a living by public. So much you can do. Why limit yourself? So I encourage everyone on this call who say, maybe it is not for me, it didn't go well. If we say that every time, this year I learned a skill that prior to this year I didn't have. And at the moment I was learning it, it wasn't easy. So I was thinking to myself, hey, is it all of us that will learn this skill? Hey, I don't really even need it like that. Let me just drop it. But I was determined. One of my favorite quotes is a quote that says that in consistency lies the power. You can be consistent and you can get better. And one practical tip is start from a small stage. You don't have to go and start from 500 people. You can start from class. I started in class. In class that time, we'll have subgroups. They'll divide us into group for group works. And I'll start to speak in those little platforms. 10 people, I'll speak. I go to fellowship, I go to church. I'll endeavor to speak, contribute, I'll volunteer, little things. And my audience started to increase from 10 to 20 to 30 to 40 to 50 to 100. And that consistency. So that's a challenge I think that a lot of people have not identified yet. They call it other names. They say, oh, and the challenge is that my voice is shaking. The challenge is that I made a mistake at some point. The challenge is that I don't know how to pronounce some words. The challenge is that I'm not very good with this thing. But generally, the challenge is that we give up too soon, because those things, we can sort them out if we're consistent. So that's my thought on it.
Thank you so much. Once again, very valuable insights. Thank you so much. I'm quite very aware that you have something about this time now, like about this time, but please bear with us. I have just 3 more questions to ask you. So yeah, if there's anything I've learned from following you over the years, following your social media pages, is that you take your appearances so very, very importantly. And so I'm saying this because the next question seems to border on that. So somebody is asking that how pivotal is the appearance and dressing of a speaker to his presentation? How pivotal is the appearance and dressing of a speaker to his presentation?
You know, there's this particular story that I read in the Bible, and I think it would just be helpful to share it. So there was a time when a prophet, Samuel, went to, God told him to anoint a particular, someone from a family, someone from Jesus' family. And he went there and he was looking at all the people who were looking like it was going to anoint them to be the person to be king. And then he saw the big one and said, this one looks like King. This one looks like King. You know, and God said something to him. He said, God does not look at the outward. It's man that looks at the outward, but looks at the inward. You know, and what that just showed me, and I think I've heard a number of people say it, is that man looks at the outward while God looks at the inward. And you know that a lot of people who are going to be walking on your street with you and who are going to be seeing you in your audience and everything, they are human beings. So I said all this to let you know that it is easy for people to receive you and listen to you when you're properly dressed. So it is easier for people to listen to you and to receive you when you're properly dressed. And when I talk to people, I understand that this is a meeting of undergrads, this is a meeting of students. Doesn't mean that you go and rob a bank, right? And you should get XYZ designers and you should ask your parents and put pressure on them and you should go and find another job to do. No. I started hosting events about 10 years ago, and I was in school. And students' events, you know, little events around Ibadan, because I studied at the University of Ibadan. And here's what I did. I endeavored to look good, to look neat every time I went to host an event. To the best of my ability, I didn't go and borrow to, let me go and borrow to impress or to look in a certain way. No, you can find the things you have and you can look neat. You don't have a pressure to wear designers. There's a stage where you wear the designers. Why? Because you can afford it. But before you can afford it, find the things you have. How do you clean up? How do you iron your clothes? Right? You iron your clothes, just clean your shoes and look good. You know, there's for ladies, for example, there's so many ways you can style your black dress. Black dress, it's good to have a black dress. There's so many ways you can style your black dress. You can style it with a jacket. You can style your black dress alone. You can style your black dress with some accessories, and you can change it. So this is what, because I'm speaking to students, I don't want you to feel a pressure to begin to dress and go and stop everybody and, you know, go beyond your budget. You can look to what you have in your budget and say, what are the essentials? Let me get the essentials. Do I have black? If I'm in a corporate environment, do I have blue? Do I have black? Do I have gray? Even for the guys as well. Okay, so this is how I can mix and match. You can mix and match, nobody will even know, because you are mixing and matching so well, and you're always looking neat. The other day, I told someone who wanted to come along with me to an event, so she was like, whole life we had to follow you to come to an event. And I said to her, you always look neat, you always look good, and that's okay. And that is, there'll come to a stage where you can afford to say, you know what, I'll shop from this, I'll shop from that. And if you can, why not? Go ahead and do that. But look neat, look good, iron your clothes, you know, clean your shoes, look neat, wash them, you know, use some very nice perfume or deodorant, you know, just
look good. Those things are important because people are looking at you outwardly before they even hear you. If what they're saying is your clothes is just stained, how is distracting because you're looking at you and thinking, oh, why did you just iron your clothes? Why is this place just rough? Why does this person look like this? Why does this person not have a good odor? Why is this person looking scruffy and rough? Those things are distracting the audience. And that is taking away your credibility. So they're thinking, look at how you look so scattered, you look so rough. Are you sure this person even knows this topic? Are you sure this person? And that's very distracting. We want them to focus on your presentation. And in the same way, I think I just say to the ladies also, and to the guys as well, dress decently, dress well, dress in a way that is beautiful. So I told someone some time ago who's like a younger one to me, and I said that you can be very decent and you can look good. You can be decent and you can look sharp. So yes, your appearance, because men look at the outside, your appearance is important. It helps people to receive you faster, and it shouldn't be distracting. It should be something that dress the way you want people to actually perceive you. So if your goal is not to distract, then don't distract. But you want to look good, so please look good, look sharp, look neat. I think it's very important.
Thank you so much. Dressing is just very, very pivotal. And for people, generally, I'm just going to say that learn from the best. Learn from the best. Temi takes addressing so importantly. I've learned over the years. Just learn from the best. If you are unable to picture whatever you think is proper, but like she said again, undergraduate, don't be under pressure, but just learn from the best. So thank you so much, Temi. I have just 2 more questions for you because of your time very considerably. So yeah, we are asking this. Now, I understand this particular question now. You've actually answered a bit on it. I think one thing I've come to understand about public speaking is that there are a bit of related things you can do. One thing somehow affects the other if not properly managed. So this question is saying that, are there any practices or rituals that may have helped you overcome and manage fright effectively? So they are a bit more personal to you now. They are trying to leverage on your personal experience. You've answered it on a generic stage, but they are trying to learn on how human, the renowned and the top tier Temi, also grew up and all of that. So how you rose through the ranks in the industry.
Okay, are there any rituals or practices that have helped me to overcome that helped me to
overcome stage fright, overcome and manage stage fright effectively?
Yes. Since you said personal experiences, I would just go ahead and share personal experiences. Something that at the point where, remember I said that there was a point where I was timid, that I was scared. This was I was in 100 level and I was so different from myself, and one thing that eventually I would say that it was very liberating was the thought. It's personal, but yes, you asked me to share my personal experience, and I'm a person of faith. So this really dawned on me. I saw in scriptures, I saw in the Bible that I'm God's child and that I stand before God every time. Like if I'm God's child, I'm born of God, and I have a relationship with God so much that God, the creator of the heaven and the earth, the one that owns the cattle on 1,000, the one that owns everything in the world, that God, I'm his child. Like the king of the kings, the one that is bigger than the president of the entire nations. I stand before him. In fact, I don't have to go to a corner to talk to him. I don't have to go to any place. I don't need to go to Jerusalem to talk to him. I can talk to him anywhere. I just thought to myself, the moment I saw that, I just thought to myself, for me, who is that person that I should be feeling intimidated to speak to? Is he as big as God? Let me drive this home for you, for people who may not understand what I'm saying. If you are in conversations with the president and you're constantly delivering speeches before the president, and then a councillor or a local government chairman asks you to come and give a speech, would you feel scared? Would you feel like, oh, you have to impress in a certain way? Yes, you prepare, but you would not, like, because you're already talking to the president. Now, a councillor or government chairman is asking you to come and do something. And like, the president is comfortable with me. Who am I that the government chairman will not go? Do you understand what I mean? That thought was I me personally. I know people have so many stories, but for me, this is my story. I saw it that no man is as great as the King of Kings. So no man should intimidate me. Them, but I shouldn't be scared. I felt timid. Just remind myself, Timla, do you know who you are? Do you know whose you are? For me, that remembrance, that just and just so I take confessions. My confessions are confessions of faith. They refer to it as affirmations, where you say, I'm strong, and those are good. So my boldness in me. So, and also faith confessions, which people refer to, and even in the world, like in secular things, they refer to it as positive affirmations. Those positive affirmations, they help. Yes, you can write down your affirmation. What do you believe of yourself? You may say, is it inspired to perspire? It worked for me. It worked for me so well. So you can just remind yourself and say, this is who I am. This is why I can do this thing. I'm strong. I'm beautiful. I speak before great men. I speak before nations. And you see it happening for you also. Sometimes I also want to just take a deep breath. I just want to go into the bathroom and just take a deep breath. And maybe a word of prayer. But yes, these are practically my personal experiences.
All right.
And of
thank
course,
you
all
so
the
much.
other
Okay.
back to preparing and getting ready. I usually say that, God teaches us to actually prepare. God teaches us to do our work in terms of preparing for assignments, reading through and those things. So yes, I also now prepare, do my rehearsals, do those things. But when it occurs to me, or when I feel scared and I can't even explain that, I can't help it, I remind myself of who I am and whose I am.
Thank you so much, Temi. I understand that your personal way of dealing with stage fright. But the reason why they were asking, I believe, is that, students are able to resonate more with personal experience. For instance, when they see a first class student, they're amazed. Oh, how does he do it? But when the first class then tell them, hey, I failed the course before, then they're like, okay, it's human. So I don't believe it's from that perspective. Thank you so much for sharing, even though personal to you. So the last question is this. I'm seeing question on the comment box. I'm really sorry. We give our word that we are sticking and going to up your time, even as you've been very considerate, except you are permit. So the last question is this. What would be your advice to persons who aspire to become renowned compers like you? Persons who see you from afar, because that's what a lot of students are so much in admiration of what you do. And the fact that you brought beauty to law, you studied law, but here you are, aside being a lawyer, also doing something remarkable, making impact in the country. I see you at high profile events, and that's something every law student, particularly, but every student generally now would really envision that. How do you do it? So what would be advice to them on how they can aspire to be renowned? So they don't want to just be among the crowd. They want to be renowned, like Amy, they've always known. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, so thank you for the question, and thank you so much for the kind words, and for all the students on this call that have sent me a message at some point, or have just said a kind word. Maybe we've met at meetings or something, and you've just given a kind compliment or feedback. Thank you so much. I really always appreciate, the kind word, because it takes people who are kind to see, there are people who see you and love your hair, love your shoe, love your bag, love everything, but they just be staring at you like, but there are other people who come and say, oh, I like how you dress, I like how you speak. And that is a strength to be able to give compliments, really. That's a strength, and I don't take it for granted. Thank you so much. Now, this is my advice to people who also want to be event hosts. Keep learning, keep growing, keep practicing, keep learning, keep growing, keep practicing. That's it. I wasn't always an event host. I have been hosting events for 10 years, about 10 years, maybe even more. And at that point, I didn't think that there's really something about this event hosting thing. I just knew that I liked it. I was growing, I was learning, I was practicing. Don't despise audiences. Sometimes people are reading my bios and they're saying, oh, we see that you have spoken or you've hosted events, for the presidency, you've hosted events for international organizations. Can I host events for them? Yes, you can. You can, but however, look at it this way. I didn't start hosting events from those big events. I didn't start with a high-profile event. I started with little events. I started in Faculty of Ibadan, in Faculty of Law, University of Ibadan. I started hosting events for students. I started hosting events pro bono, free of charge. I started volunteering. I hosted the conference for Queen India Hall. I hosted that. Then I went a step further. A family friend of mine invited me to come and host something for her in Ibadan. Then when I graduated, there was this event in Lagos. In fact, when I look back at it, I did things. And I wanted to host an event for them. I was growing, my audience was growing, a lot of content on event hosting, but I'll go and look at event hosts, I'll put it in and look for it on the internet just to grow. I go to conferences and be looking out for events. Some of the event hosts that veterans that I know now, how did I meet them? There was one of them that I went to an event that time. I traveled for the event, and during the break, because I liked hosting, I was drawn to the event host. So I asked him, oh, sir, please, can you give me a few minutes? I want to ask you a few questions. During the break, I was a student. So he obliged me, and then I started to ask him questions. Just a few minutes, just ask a few questions. Oh, please, sir, why did you do this? Why did you do that during your events? Later on, I found that there was a training on it for event hosts. I went for it. Learning. Remember what I said? Keep learning. Keep growing. You're learning. In fact, you're learning not just art of hosting. You're learning some good practices, some ethical practices. I follow certain people. I watch them. See, this is how this person does this. At some point, I met an event host that I respected. I said, when you have events around my city, I'd like to volunteer for you. Keep learning. Keep growing. Keep practicing. Don't despise little platforms. Don't say, what, this one is too small. I just want the big ones. The big ones will come. But the big ones will sometimes come by referrals. And when the big ones come, they want to ask you, what have you done? They want to ask, who have you hosted for? Those referrals may come from the small ones. They may come from the small. So that's how I was growing. I can tell you the event that I did, the next event, how I started to do those little events. And then the big ones came. And when the big ones came and they wanted to see the big ones came by referrals because they had seen what I'd done, which I thought was just small event, but they were impressed. And when you do an event, whether it's pro bono, whether you're charging, always deliver it with excellence. Excellence. Once your name is on it, do it well. Do it to the best of your ability. So yes, keep learning, keep growing, keep practicing. Those are my thoughts for you.
All right. Thank you so much again. It's always deep insights from you every now and then. Thank you so much. But just to ask, do you also realize before mirrors, some people believe that, just stand before the mirror, see yourself, how you gesticulate, how your mouth moves, how your face. Do you do that?
Yeah, so if you notice at the start, the first question you asked me, I said rehearse. That's so important. Now, there's so many ways to rehearse. Unfortunately, we have all the time to explore all of them, but let me just leave you with some of them. Rehearsing before the mirror, recording yourself. I watch my videos. I watch my videos very well. When it comes to non-vocal communication, there's so much you can do or you can see when you watch videos. So you can see, what do I do with my hands? What do I do with my face? What do I do with my expressions? I'm making expressions as I'm speaking now. Those things are important. So I play back. In fact, when I play back my videos, my husband will say, you gotta play yourself. I wasn't always comfortable listening to myself. I used to work at a radio station. During my undergrad days, I used to work at Diamond FM. That was part of my little beginnings. I was a volunteer. And whenever somebody would play my video, beside me, I would cringe and say, please put it off, please put it off, because I was not comfortable listening to myself. But when I learned and when I understood that I to listen to myself, I need to see myself and give myself feedback. I need to hear sincere feedback to improve. Then I started. So yes, I rehearsed in front of mirrors. I rehearsed. I disturb my friends when they're around. I tell them, please listen to this line, listen to my open, listen to my speech. What do you think about it? Give me your honest feedback. I watch myself. I watch my videos. Sometimes I rehearse before mirrors. Sometimes I rehearse before human beings. Sometimes I just run through my lines. Rehearsals are so important for us. I script. I write down my points. I write down my thoughts. I write down my opening, my conclusion. Sometimes not everything, but just organizing my thoughts in a way that, oh, this is how I want it to flow, just bullet points sometimes. So yes, I still rehearse.
Thank you so much once again. That was a follow-up question, not entirely my question. So I'm going to be rounding up now. No more questions. So, but I just want people to know that, guys, it's been a privilege having Timmy on the call, and I must tell you, if nothing, I love for students. I don't know how she does it, but she's very compassionate for students. If this were a professional meeting elsewhere, she probably would not be able to come through because of our clashing engagement. Thank you so much, Timmy, for the flavor you bring to the compare industry, for how much you try to inspire the undergraduate, the young ones. They were so passionate about coming around to hear you talk, particularly those who take it as so much of a thing to learn from. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I think this cannot be enough. Then thank you for your support for TV over the years too. This is not your first time coming over, and you've always made very unquantifiable sacrifices for us. We do not take it for granted. Thank you. We are so grateful. So at this point, so several people are even appreciating in the comment section, but at this point, we have to just not be selfish. We'd love to have
Thank you
you
so
all
much.
day, but we have to be very considerate of your time too, and just let you go on the other things you need to get done. We are so grateful. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I look forward to connecting with everyone. On LinkedIn, my name is Temi Badru. On Instagram, Temi_Badru. On Twitter, I'm very active on Twitter. My Twitter handle is at Temi_Badru as well. On Facebook, Temi Badru. Thank you so much. Let me quickly just appreciate Adebola again for inviting me, for reminding me, and for just honoring me with the invitation. I pray that TV increases and that all your goals, all your desires, for this platform or for creating this platform is actually achieved. Thank you so much. Thanks to everyone that, just on a Saturday to set out this evening to listen to me. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye.
Yes, ma'am. Take care of yourself. We're grateful. So everyone, once again, welcome back. We're still here, still on public speaking and building effective public speaking. You just heard from a top tier personality in the industry, no other person than Temi. So yeah, she mentioned a few things. I'll just give you a brief recap for those who joined late. Sorry you missed a whole lot, but Temi answered questions on techniques towards captivating your audience and keeping them engaged. And she talked about introducing icebreakers. And she tells that the kind of icebreakers you introduce will depend on the kind of audience. So you have to be flexible, although you prepare so fiercely, but you have to be flexible. Take a break sometimes to do one or two things. Also encourage the audience to, take a break and do one or two things too. Learn to read the room. This gives you flexibility. So you're able to know, okay, and in case you are thinking there are a lot of challenges, she said, yes, it's possible to be intimidated. In fact, you should grow your public speaking skills to the extent you can, make effective eye contact with your audience. And it's a very difficult thing to do, I can tell you, but you have to just keep practicing, keep getting better. Don't put pressure on yourself. See public speaking as a growing phase. And the truth is that regardless of what you do, public speaking is important because whether you like it or not, you have to introduce yourself to somebody who is far more advanced than you are. And you have to also a bit market yourself. There's what they call elevator pitch, for instance, how you have to, in 30 seconds or less, capture somebody for them to say, okay, let me learn more about you. So these are what public speaking brings to the table generally. You have to keep doing it, constantly doing it. It's not a cliche, but practice does make perfect. And you need to keep practicing with the little platforms you have. So if you're invited to do a 5 minutes exhortation, a charge anywhere, take it. Don't say it's too small. Keep learning. It's a skill. And she mentioned a quote, said inconsistency lies power. Inconsistency lies power. So yeah, on appearance, it's very important. As a public speaker to be or an efficient compare or host, you must dress with your invitation, it must be in line. Once you dress awkward, your self-esteem is affected already. Imagine you are going for an event where everybody's going to be putting on traditional, and you just probably thought, okay, let me wear a jean shirt, let me wear a shirt and a jean trouser. You find out that you are a bit feeling awkward, and inadvertently that affects your self-esteem, that affects your delivery, that affects your presentation. You lose balance, and you of course cannot get it well. And of course, you mentioned on excellence. Guys, excellence is so important. Every time you are excellent at something, you've created a chance for somebody else to recommend you. So you have to be excellent. If you are going to take public speaking as a career, or to use public speaking as a tool to aid whatever your pursuits are, you must take it excellently. And that's where practice comes in. Keep practicing, keep growing. Don't feel intimidated because you're standing beyond a few audience, if you get, you keep going. And she talked about, okay, yeah, so back to the page, talked about ironing your clothes, always look good. People don't get this part, but looks good. It affects your branding. And you don't have to look flashy, you don't have to spend all the money, but whatever you're going to wear, make sure that you are looking really sharp. It's very important. Look sharp. When you wear a clothes that is properly ironed, it boosts your confidence. This has happened to a lot of people, even right from secondary school. You feel happier among your peers that, okay, I did something right. You need to look neat and to the best of your ability. So there's no need to go to somewhere and your hair is all bounded for a lady, or for a guy, your hair is rough. If it's something to make a career out of. And we're able to also convince her to share some of her personal experience. And for her, she tells us that she knows her identity in God. She's God's child. So if she's able to talk to God, why can't she talk to any other person? And believe me, that is very deep. That is very deep. So she has her faith confessions, and in addition to her preparation. So it's not just all about, okay, let me prepare, let me do this. God is always a big factor, because there are certain times you prepare and things do not go as you want it. What then do you do? You need wisdom. So yeah, our parting words, we keep growing, keep practicing. Don't say you are not as efficient as Temi. Don't forget, Temi has been doing it for 10 years plus. So don't despise your little audience. Don't despise your days of small beginning. Keep growing your audience. Keep starting small, keep training, learn the ethics. And that's it. Public speaking is not just about I can talk. Some people think because they are loud, because they can just speak loudly, because they are more audible. Secondary school gives you the impression of, oh, you are audible. I need somebody who is audible. No, no, no. Public speaking goes beyond that. It's not just audible. It's not just audibility. What are you saying? And how are you saying it? So keep training, keep learning. And before you know it, you have referrals even from the little you are doing. So to give priority now to the questions in the chat box. So guys, for those who sent questions to the chat box, apologies we couldn't take them. Temi, if not for our love for TVA and every one of us here, she shouldn't even have been able. She had some clashing engagement, which she told us. So, but let's see whatever we can pick out from the chat box. So, in case there's a question in the chat box, I'm looking out for it. Okay, someone said, does she take training on public speaking? That I know of, yes, Temi does. I think our Instagram should be something faces, and she does. Just go to her LinkedIn page. She's always posting her Instagram page where an organization where she does public speaking. So she does take training. I'm trying to check further questions. Just a minute. Sorry, taking your time. And in case I'm unable to find your question, please just send it again. Let it be refreshed so that I'm able to find it. Okay, somebody, what were the steps she took towards building a career? She mentioned it. She was unable to answer when it was her breakthrough period, but she mentioned the steps she took, her preparation, practicing in churches, volunteering for organizations, rehearsing before mirrors, before her friends, sometimes watching her videos, which she said sometimes make her cringe, but eventually she had to, flow along with it. So please send your questions. We'll be rounding up. And the question should not just boil down whatever we discussed today. The Undergraduate Congress has been for the past 3 weeks, inclusive of this week, making 4 weeks. So if you have any question on any topic that was taken, either by Destiny, Tayo, or Timothy, please, it's a good time to ask it now. Okay, someone says she aspires to be like Temi someday. May God make that come to pass. Thank you. And I'm glad you joined too. You need to learn from people like that. So, oh yeah, so does anyone have any question for Temi? I'm looking through it, but we couldn't find anything new. So we just want to carry along. Anybody? Okay. So I'm not seeing any question, but just to mention again that as a brief recap from all that has been taught in the past undergraduate congress, just something, if anything, you should note by. We dealt with building and scaling a successful business as an entrepreneur. I hope you remember all what Timothy shared. It talked about, key deep insight into businesses. He shared his own personal experience, how much you have to keep going, how much you have to keep learning. And if there's something to pick by what every speaker has said in this undergraduate congress, it is growth. Growth is a fundamental phase we all underrate, but it is what translates you to the next phase of your life. You need to keep going. You must have friends that encourage you to grow. You must belong to platforms that encourage you to grow. And such is TVA. At TVA, we hold weekly meetings every Saturday where we deal with one issue or the other. Our goal is to raise leaders and not followers. We have too many followers already. And not just being a leader, but being an exemplary leader. So if you think that's where to belong, join us. You're welcome. Every Saturday, 4 p.m., we hold our meeting. And of course, for the several other sessions too, we also covered on growth. Tayo Winkle shared with us opportunities that lies in the tech industry and how well you can do well to it. She talks about taking training. She talks about learning more. So you find out that learning is always there. Destiny spoke about academic insights, attaining academic exploit, and the colossal opportunities. And he told us that one of the presumptions that attaining academic exploit does to you is that you have a presumption that you are smart. And when people have a perception that you are smart, they tend to gravitate more to you. They tend to lending up more to you. And there's no experience that is particular. Destiny's session was particularly profound because it taught us a whole lot about his growth, how well he went from not being somebody who can even afford anything significant to doing a whole lot, to being somebody who is now a graduate of Harvard in one of the best universities in the world. So it tells you that nothing is impossible. Nothing is impossible. And he told us of, he spoke to us extemporaneously on his popular quote, how can I lose when I came here with nothing? It's very, very difficult. So if you missed, um, just ensure to ensure you're registered properly. We'll try to send you as much slides as we can and probably as much excerpt. And yes, for the excerpt, please follow TVA on LinkedIn and Instagram. If you want it's been 1 month of very deep quality session, but one thing is certain, we post the excerpt there every week. We post the excerpt every week. So from all what Temi has taught today, you can be sure you're going to get, you need something to remind you. It's not enough to learn it once. It's people who are able to apply. And sometimes you've heard it, they've said it several times. The faintest pen always works better. What you think is so faint also always works better than the sharpest memory because it's a matter of time you would forget. So follow us on social media, Vanguard Africa on Instagram, on Twitter, and LinkedIn. Get to know of the excerpt that we have for you and for the replay of some of the sessions or all the sessions. Watch it again on YouTube, catch it up. The good thing about being here is that you didn't just come here to count time. A lot of people join meeting that they make no big deal of. We are looking out for people who would make the very best use of all that has been said in these meetings. People would become transformed because whether you like it or not, your mates are going to take advantage of the knowledge. And don't be amazed when they start growing. Don't envy them. They took their classes very diligently. Precious, well done for your active engagement in the comments. I really do appreciate that. I observed the all through Temi's session. That's very profound. Temi mentioned something about saying what you feel, giving compliments and all of that. It's always good. Be outspoken in every way. Make your presence known. So yeah, that'll be it. Thank you once again. Just to remind you again, TVA is the Vanguard Africa is a non-government organization and we believe in growing a new set of transformational leaders who will take their peers in the places of leadership. So you are welcome to join us. You can go to our website and sign up for membership. You can chat up any familiar name on this platform that you want to join and you want to belong. You're welcome. So all of that information will be duly communicated on our Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter. Again, we are so glad to have you here. And we believe that you learned something. We believe that you are not just going to learn and go and throw it somewhere in the bin. We believe you will make a difference with the knowledge you've been armed with. These are all sought after speakers, and we ensure that they were available for you. Thank you so much. So it's about time. Still checking if there are any questions in the comment section. But thankfully, nobody is yet to ask anything. So it's a good time to, yeah, someone question is okay. Yeah, yet to recover from destiny session. Okay, thank you. So many other people too. These people have had their impact on us, and we are very grateful. For the person thanking the organizers, we are so grateful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It's not something that comes easily, but it's all worth it for you people. It's worth it for everyone on this call. We are grateful. Thank you for joining. Thank you so much for joining. Just a minute. Um, just a minute. We have something for you. Sorry, just a minute. So yeah, I understand that a unit of trivia would be having trivia on social media on some of the recaps that we've had today. So in case you want to be a beneficiary of some of those, those trivia, please kindly follow the social media pages. Each of them carries win. You'll be asked certain questions just to, jog your memory again on some of these things we've been taught. So do well to follow. Thank you, everyone, and we'll be giving the closing remarks at this point. Can I have, if possible, the mantra? Just a minute. So it's nothing particular. We just want you to understand how deep-rooted we are. So yeah. Okay, so everyone, please follow me closely. We'll be having a mantra now. You don't have to say it after me, just follow through. At the Vanguard Africa, we promote transformational leadership in every sphere of influence. Our leaders are well-rounded, adequately built, and exceptionally equipped to excel in every leadership they're entrusted with. We dream upward, invent new strategies, and deploy exemplary wisdom in our affairs. We have more than enough human and capital resources to inspire, build, and equip the next generation of leaders in Africa, in Nigeria, Africa, and the world at large. Our dreams shall not die, our vision shall not faint, our hope shall not be dashed, our strength shall not wane. With God, we are excellent personalities, leadership models, and organizational catalysts, bringing order into everything we step into. Amen. Join us next week, Saturday again. We can't wait to have you. So we close now. All right, just for that, thank you for the successful session. Thank you for how you've blessed us with knowledge. Thank you because we are having giant arising from this meeting. Many people are growing up and they are going to be transformational leaders of our dear country and Africa at large. Thank you because you are causing strategies to be better in people's mind. Thank you for better innovations in their mind. Thank you for the success of doing the Undergraduate Congress. Thank you for everyone who has made it a worthwhile to be here with us. We ask that you be with them and that you strengthen them in their personal development journey and that you cause them to be the very best of themselves by your precious grace. Amen. Thank you, everyone. TVA loves you. Personally, I love you. Thank you for joining. Thank you for making the session lively. Do take care of yourself. Bye. Cheers.